Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 16th day of January in the year 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. And in case you slept through it, we had some weather that was a little bit out of the ordinary over the last couple of days. And joining us today is our dear friend Tony Mondaro to look at what happened. Tony, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Kevin, good day. How you doing today?
Okay. What did we experience over the last couple of days?
Well, our little snow event did come to pass. Started last night around 8:30, and this morning the snow changed to some sleet and freezing rain, only making conditions really hazardous around here, especially during the course of the day. The local road departments have been doing the best to keep up with it. Looking at some of the storm total so far, about 1 to 2 inches of snow fell across the area. It's been a little bit more further to the west and further to the south. I see a couple of amounts of approaching 2 inches. Places like in western Essex County and also down across Union County approaching 2-inch mark. Now, for the rest of the day, unfortunately, look for some more sleet and some more freezing rain. Could briefly change over back to wet snow before it all ends this evening and heads on out of here. But folks, very important. Just in the lower places of the atmosphere, temperatures did warm enough where it did change the snow over to a sleet and freezing rain. However, the temperatures on the roads and the air temperature really didn't get above freezing. So anything that's falling is actually turning to ice where it's not treated. So the sidewalks out there, streets, secondary and tertiary streets out there that may not have been treated yet, just be careful out there. It's going to be very icy. And then whatever is standing tonight that's not treated will freeze over. So watch out in your commuting, especially on the way home tonight from work or school. Those out and about this evening, and also for tomorrow morning's rush hour. All the precipitation will be gone, but will be left over with the icing condition possible. Not going to be all over the place, and where it's treated, it'll be just fine. But where you do have standing water that hasn't been treated, it could get very, very icy.
Now, this is all the last 24, 48 hours, but this is not the end for this week, correct? We're looking at another potential storm brewing for the weekend or close to the weekend?
Yeah, another system, Kev. Dry out tomorrow. Temperatures for daytime highs. This is all week now. Daytime high temperatures will be in the upper 20s to low 30s, and overnight lows in the upper teens to low 20s. So we'll have that cycle going over the next several days where it's going to be hard to recover to above freezing. Probably won't get above freezing until sometime late in the weekend or early next week. So there's an issue with that, with the freeze refreezing every night with any standing water. Next system comes in for overnight Thursday into Friday. Right now, it looks like it's similar to what we've just dealt with. Maybe a few inches of snow starting on Thursday into Friday. And then the weekend doesn't look bad from here. But then again, as you know, weather's always changing, and we have to really keep a close eye on the weather in the days ahead. So, Kev, to wrap it up for this afternoon for us, watch out for the change back over to snow briefly before ending this evening, a refreeze. And then we repeat the whole situation again later on Thursday into Friday, with the Friday morning rush hour in jeopardy of having some snow and ice problems once again. Right now from here, it looks like anywhere from a trace maybe to an inch or two of snow again. So not the big one, but enough to give us a pain in the neck as far as icy conditions.
And it's possible that that's exactly what we'll see later on in the week, too. Again, I think you were saying sort of similar type of system. Is that right?
Correct. Similar system coming through. This one might be a little bit more in the snow department. It looks like it might be a little bit colder, but then again, we have a couple of days to play around. Of course, folks, you can get the latest on Facebook there, where we do update that 24/7, our weather there at the Harrison Weather Facebook site.
And that's facebook.com/harrison.weather.1. For those of you who are not friends, you can't join because Tony's got 5,000 friends. Who has 5,000 friends? But Tony Mondaro. But you can still read those pages, correct, Tone?
Correct.
Nah, thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate you stopping by today. I know you have a lot going on right now, so I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
My pleasure, Kevin. Have a great show.
Okay, you too, buddy. We'll see you soon. That's
Thank you.
Tony Mondaro. Of course, he the long time director of the Harrison Weather Center, and he has also been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years, I think. It's been a long time. If you give me a second, I'll get my camera back up there. Not that anybody needs to necessarily see me, but that is the situation. And so we're always grateful to Tony for joining us when he does. Now, before we get to today's news, the Kearney Police Department sent out a very interesting scam brief this morning, and it's really directed toward people who drive for ride shares like Lyft and Uber. And you got to be very, very careful of this, because what's happening is people are requesting Ubers, and they're putting in the destination as the same address or very similar to the same address as where they're being picked up. And they'll say to the driver, "Oh, I didn't know that. Let me see your phone." And they'll take the phone and they'll skip off with the phone. So if you are an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, you've got to be excuse me, everybody. You have to be very, very cautious about these scams that are going on. It seems to be happening a lot more of late. If somebody asks for your phone and you drive an Uber or Lyft, do not hand your phone over to a passenger under any circumstances. There's no reason for that. All of the planning when you take a ride on a rideshare app like that is supposed to be done by the passenger, not by the driver. And what they're doing is, I think they're trying to catch some drivers off guard by saying, "Oh, can I just see your phone real quick?" They probably reach for it, take it, and then they run away with $1,000 phone. And it's kind of funny because you wouldn't hand over $1,000 to a person in cash, but people very, very easily do it with their phones. So if you know somebody who is a Lyft or an Uber driver, make sure you let them know, or you can see it on the Kearney Police Department's Facebook page or ours as well, and at www.theobserver.com, because it's pretty sneaky. And I tell you, these scammers are getting smarter and smarter. Well, at least they think they're getting smarter and smarter. They're not really, but a lot of this nonsense has been going on over the last couple of months, and now you especially see it here with these rideshare things. So be very, very cautious, and let people know if you know anybody who drives an Uber or a Lyft or any other kind of ride sharing. This week's news, just a brief look at the things that have gone on this week. You know, what a horrible story coming out of North Arlington, that Joseph Zadroga, the retired chief of the North Arlington Police Department, was killed in a tragic accident in Galloway Township, and just horrible. If you have not heard the story yet, the retired chief went to visit his wife, who was in a hospital, in a rehabilitation center. And he was out in the parking lot, and an elderly person in the parking lot accidentally accelerated the car and couldn't stop while he was trying to get out, and hit and killed the retired chief. It is just heartbreaking. Joe Zadroga was 76 years old, and of course, anybody who's lived in this neck of the woods for a long period of time remembers the chief's son, James, who was a retired NYPD detective and who is believed to be the very first documented victim of death that was caused by the effects of 9/11 after the fact. I think he died in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. And when they did an autopsy, they found glass in his lungs, things that he breathed in for those countless number of days where he was on the pit at Ground Zero back in 2001. So, you know, you talk about a family that has experienced epic tragedy in its lifetime, and now such a horrible way to go. And he was a dedicated police officer from 1970 until 1997 at his retirement. And then a few years later, of course, the tragedy of losing his son to the effects of 9/11, and then just to go this way in the freakest of freakish ways. And I know our Carol Manley is here, and her dad, John Hearn, is a retired, also, he's no longer with us, but he's also a retired North Arlington police chief as well. So, the brotherhood is very, very strong at times like this. But way, way too young was James Zadroga to lose his life at 76 and in such a horrifying way. So, did I say John? I meant Ed. I'm sorry. And I apologize for that. But what a terrible, terrible tragedy that was indeed. That he died at that age in such a horrible way, visiting his wife who was sick. I mean, can you even imagine that? So on behalf of everybody here at the Observer, and of course to all of the men and women in blue, we give our deepest condolences to the Zadroga family and to everybody who is involved at the North Arlington Police Department. A terrible and tragic loss. Carol, did your dad know? I'm sure he did, right? They were probably on the job at the same time at some point or another. If you could just let us know in the chat room, I would appreciate that. Moving along, a little less seriousness to this, but something pretty stunning all in all. Marie Strumolo Burke is a councilwoman in Belleville, and she has decided to hang it up. She's been on the council for as long as I can remember, and that's going back about 20 years, and she decided that she's not going to seek another term. And here we are. She has decided that she's going to hang it up, but she's also recommended somebody to run in her stead. Now, that doesn't mean that's exactly what's going to happen. She may very well run, this person that she recommended, but I do believe that Mayor Mike Melham may have something to say about that, because they were not exactly friendly, were Marie Strumolo Burke and the current mayor in Belleville. So, but after many, many years, at least 20, I would think, she is going to retire at the end of this term. She will not seek re-election in May, and she was a very, very dedicated public servant. She truly was. And, the Strumelos, I think you all, anybody who's from Harrison or Nutley knows the Strumelos. Dave Strumelo, of course, is the chief in Harrison. And then there's a Strumelo who is also the chief in Nutley as well. They've always had connections to Nutley, Harrison, and Belleville. And Marie was somebody who was always around just about whenever you needed her. And now she has decided to ride off into the sunset. So we congratulate her and wish her all the best in her upcoming retirement. The front page this week, a lot of news came out of North Arlington this week. Sometimes it just happens this way, but the first thing was that they had their reorganization a week ago, and unlike what we saw in Kearney, where there was a lot of chaos and yelling and screaming, this one was very, very copacetic and harmonious for the most part. And I'll tell you this, it's a testament to the mayor and council. This is not a knock on the mayor and council in Kearney, but Mayor Dan Pronti and his council have always worked well together. And I think what we're going to see in the borough of North Arlington is some of the most profound and maybe the biggest initiatives that they've ever taken on. And the mayor has always set out with ambitious agendas each and every year, and he winds up accomplishing it each and every year too. And I believe there are elections again this year in North Arlington, and it'll be very, very interesting to see who the candidates are. But as they reorganized, they did so very, very professionally, very, very calmly, and that's always good news for the people of North Arlington. They're doing a wonderful job there, and we congratulate the mayor and all the members of the council. Allison Sheedy and Mario Karsick took their new oaths of office for their 3-year terms when the council reorganized in January, and they will serve, as I said, for 3 years as they continue to serve the people of North Arlington. And the one thing you should remember about North Arlington, in case you don't know this, not that partisan politics on a local basis matters, but all of them are Republicans in North Arlington. In a borough where Democrats outnumber the Republicans, I think 4 or 5 to 1. So that will tell you what kind of work that Dan Pronti and his council are doing in North Arlington, that in a town where the Republicans are heavily outnumbered by the Democrats, that it's the Republicans who have 100% control of the council there. So well done, Mayor Pronti, indeed. And then we'll stick in North Arlington because last week, I had a chance to go over to the Holy Cross Cemetery and Mausoleum. It's not often that going to a cemetery has anything pleasurable attached to it, but this certainly is one of them, and that's because they recently cut a ribbon for whatever you would call it. They had a groundbreaking ceremony for a brand new mausoleum at the cemetery there at Holy Cross. And while they were there, the Archdiocese of Newark, which is a tax-free organization, donated $80,000 to the borough of East Newark to purchase 2 Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Now, you got to think about this. In North Arlington, there are many times where roads have to be closed because of funerals and people going in and out of the cemetery. But that's part of the reason I think why this is such a noted thing. And you also have to remember, too, that is a 200-acre plot of land is Holy Cross Cemetery, none of which is taxable because they are a nonprofit organization. And what I found very interesting, of course, is that you always get this from people on social media as saying, well, they should just tax the archdiocese and the cemetery. Well, guess what? You want to do that, you're going to wind up going to prison because it's illegal. You cannot tax nonprofit organizations like the Archdiocese of Newark. And so to be the good partners that they are, they donated $80,000 back to the borough of North Arlington for the purchase of these 2 glides that are made by Harley-Davidson. And so because of that, now the borough of East Newark, North Arlington will be able to do so many other things that they haven't been able to do. It's always been a noted motorcycle borough, as the chief had mentioned at the groundbreaking, but now it'll be a lot easier for them to maneuver, to get to locations that are not as easily accessible by vehicle. And that also includes the funerals, when they have to shut down roads, and if they have to get from point A to point B, they'll be able to do that in a much quicker manner. So listen, if you have 200 acres of untaxable land and you're able to convince the Archdiocese to be good corporate partners and donate $80,000 to purchase these bikes, somebody's doing something right there. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when people get on their horses and they start saying, well, there's no reason why they shouldn't tax them, there's a very simple answer. They can't. They can't. They can't. And I think Mayor Pronti, who I just noticed was in the chat room a few minutes ago, can attest to this, that there's often times where he gets asked that question, why don't they just tax them anyway? Well, you probably don't want to do that if you don't want to wind up in a federal prison somewhere for breaking the law. And that's exactly what it would be if they decided they were going to go ahead and tax the Archdiocese of Newark. Yeah, would it be nice to be able to tax a piece of property of that size? You betcha. You betcha, but it just can't be done. And because of this type of partnership that they have, it's a really good ending to a situation that, hey, listen, you can't tax them, but they're going to give us $80,000 back, and we got 2 beautiful Harleys that will be, I'm sure, noticeable once they start roaming the streets of North Arlington. So well done by everybody involved. And then, of course, the Archdiocese will have a beautiful new mausoleum. And I don't think there's much more room to build in that cemetery. If you've been over there anytime soon, you know there's very little room left. So this will probably be the last of all of the mausoleums being built there. One thing about this, too, Andy Schaefer, who is the executive director of the Archdiocese Cemeteries Office, is going to be retiring very, very soon. In fact, his successor was already on the job, and he was present at the groundbreaking for this event. And Andy Schaefer has been doing this job for many, many years, and he's always been a great partner to us at the Observer. And I know we would be probably, in speaking on behalf of the mayor, say he's been a great partner as well for the borough of North Arlington. So the chances are he's probably not watching this, but on the off chance either he or Maria Margiotta are watching this somewhere over in the Chancery in Newark, we want to wish Andy the best of luck and congratulations in his retirement, and thank him for decades of incredibly, incredibly dedicated service to the Archdiocese of Newark Cemetery Office. Thank you, Andy, and thank you for this as well. Now, we have some people in the chat room who have been texting. When the last edition went on, they said it was the last one, as I recall. Yes, Barbara. That is correct. They did say that at one point, but nothing that people say is ever true, right? I mean, I don't think you're surprised. You were involved in the cemetery industry your entire life, so I guess I just don't know. I mean, really, it goes the location where they had the groundbreaking. I mean, you can see the next block, so it can't. I don't think it's going to be all that big, but it looks like it's the last big plot of land over there. So you're right, but they did indeed say that at one point that the last one was the last. But I guess it was the penultimate one when all is said and done. So that's going to do it on this icy day. Listen, if you're out and about, be careful. And as Tony said earlier, don't forget, these roads, even if it snows again, are going to be icy. So if you have to travel for whatever the reason is, even though it's only like 1.5 inches to 2 inches of snow on the ground, be very, very careful, especially later on when it gets a little bit colder and the roads it starts to snow again. But we'll be back 1 week from today. And of course, maybe Friday, depending on what the weather looks like with Tony. We'll see if it's necessary. But in the meantime, be safe, stay warm, and enjoy what remains of this week. And to everybody who was here today, let me just go back. Carol Manley was here. Frida was here. Tony Marinaro was here. Good to see you, Tony. Another bummer from the Devils last night in Boston. Our dear friend Barbara Condon is here. The mayor of North Arlington, Dan Pronti, is here. Mama June Hearn is here as well. And let's see, Eileen Matthey is also around with us, as was, I'm not sure who some of the people are who have used some of their screen names, Manny Ventoso Jr. as well. Pat Long is here, too, our letter carrier. I don't know why I said carrier. I'm not trying to be like that, but our letter carrier is here as well. But listen, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you 1 week from today. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. We hope to see you again very, very soon. Take care, everybody.